Forces of Love and War. Cheer 'em on tonight at 8:30 on CJOH.
Midday Newsline with Glenn Carter and Ron Wilson.
Hi, I'm Ron Wilson with an invitation for you to join all sorts of folks down here in the Spark Street Mall for the next hour as we celebrate Fete Caribe. It actually began yesterday with a bit of a children's festival, but lasts all this week. A lot of activity. You'll learn everything from calypso to soca, to mass bands all about. It's a heck of a party. We hope you'll be part of it. That's all part of Midday Newsline today. But let's begin, as always, with Glenn Carter and the Midday News.
Thanks, Ron. Good afternoon, everyone. There is grim news today at an international conference on AIDS in Japan. Researchers say that they have identified a new strain of the AIDS virus, which seems to be resistant to screening. Here's Robert Bazot.
Researchers have learned that as AIDS continues to spread rampantly in many parts of the world, the virus mutates into many forms. A child in Zimbabwe's virus might be quite different from that infecting a young man in Brazil. Type O, found in West Africa, is the first new form to escape detection with some of the standard blood tests. But health officials do not believe it will be a danger in the United States.
I can tell you that we already are looking at the question of whether our tests are sensitive to subtype O infections.
The spread of many strains of AIDS in many parts of Asia remains another crucial focus of this meeting. In nearby Thailand, 1 million infections already, the result mostly of widespread prostitution. Another 1 million infections in India. And in Vietnam and many other countries, factors such as drug abuse are spreading the virus. Officials at the conference are appealing for immediate preventive programs to head off a disaster.
And Asian leaders do not believe, as many others have believed, that it will not happen to you.
Jordan and Israel cleared another barrier to peace today. Leaders from both countries snipped a ribbon which opened a border between the two nations, the first in nearly 5 decades of conflict. It was the latest step towards peace since King Hussein and the Israeli Prime Minister Rabin declared their intent to establish peace between the old enemies. On Sunday, telephone links were established between Israel and Jordan. There isn't a formal peace treaty yet. That will have to wait for a breakthrough in talks between Israel and Syria. The Ontario Provincial inquiry is looking into allegations that Provincial Housing Minister Evelyn Gigant has breached conflict of interest guidelines. The Ottawa area's only provincial cabinet minister is alleged to have tampered in a court case. Former director of the Van Lang nonprofit housing complex in Ottawa's West End claims that Gigantas pressured her to drop legal action against fellow board members. In a statement today, Gigantas denied any wrongdoing. The dispute centers around ethnic discrimination. Board member Sharon Pretty claims that Vietnamese housing applicants were given preferential treatment. The center was built with the urging of Ottawa's Vietnamese community, but was to be open to any low-income applicant. Pretty is expected to testify this afternoon. The minister is on Thursday. Something for visually impaired Vanier women to celebrate today. Louise Lafleur lost her seeing eye dog last night. The golden retriever named Echo is Lafleur's main support. Well, the two will be reunited today. The dog, it seems, Ron and JJ turned up at the Humane Society, so all's well that ends well. Happy endings. Yeah. Always nice.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear it as clear as I can down here in the Spark Street Mall, but that's the music of Two Squared. They're just getting the crowd kind of warmed up here for what will be the official kickoff to Fete Caribe. The first time we've ever had a Caribbean festival here in the nation's capital, and it's about to get underway here on the mall.
And I must say that this kind of a party is long overdue, man.
I'll tell you what, did you ever deliver the weather, too, back from your holidays and everything, Mr. Clark?
Yeah, well,
welcome back.
It's not quite as nice here as the Caribbean, but it's really close, I'll tell you, because we have sunshine today and a high around 26 degrees. And in fact, this is very much like a lot of spots in the Caribbean, the weather we're looking for in January and February. So we'll definitely take it. It looks like this week, the weather is going to cooperate. All looks good on the weather front for the next couple of days. We have sunshine right now. The present temperature stands at 22 degrees. And here's what we have on the map. Well, today is going to turn out to be a good day. Ridge of high pressure just to the south, giving us sunshine. Extending back from an area of low pressure on the Ontario-Quebec border right now is a cold front. That goes all the way back through toward Nebraska. Now, along this frontal zone, we're picking up some showers, some thunder showers into Michigan, and they are pushing very slowly toward the east. It's going to start to invade the area later this evening, so we'll talk about a 30% chance of showers overnight tonight. And then tomorrow looks like a cloudy day with scattered showers and thunder showers, but it's back to the sunshine for Wednesday. And I'll have more on your 5-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Glenn.
All right, thanks, Jay. As always, we have a full hour of news and information ahead for you on Midday Newsline. As Ron mentioned moments ago, he'll be looking into the fun at Fete Caribe throughout the show. We'll also be taking a close look at romance novels, how publishers are now trying to appeal to men. Oh, and also we'll be talking with romance author Darlene Sanchez. The public has reached deep. The people of Aylmer have started to get their lives back together. We'll check in with organizers to see how things are progressing. We will have more weather and, of course, news for you, our weekly Crime Stoppers file, and much more. So stay with us. Now here is our view of Confederation Square this Monday, August the 8th. We'll be right back.
How do you get the most long distance for the least money?
From Sprint Canada. The most means 50% off on the person you talk to most each month. One in Canada, one in the U.S., and one overseas.
Keep talking.
The least means a guaranteed lower rate on all your long distance and no extra fees.
Isn't communication wonderful? Get the most for the least. From Sprint Canada.
The year was 1917, and the need to inform the nation was never greater. I'll be back with the story of E. Norman Smith.
Sharon McGarry of Holtz Playfair and McGarry Funeral Home.
Purley Hospital has a tradition of caring in our community dating back almost 100 years. Since 1897, the Purley has provided long-term care and rehabilitation for elderly citizens in an atmosphere of compassion and dignity. We at Holtz Playfair and McGarry salute their staff and volunteers and look forward to the construction of the new Purley and Rideau Veterans Health Center.
Holtz Playfair and McGarry, part of your community since 1925.
E. Norman Smith saw the need for Canadian unity during wartime. His idea was to create a national news wire service, the Canadian Press. Smith's vision became a reality. He served as CP's president from 1920 to 25. The stories of Canadian history makers can be told through the collections of the National Archives of Canada.
You've been waiting for it. Tommy and LaFave's original warehouse skier sale. Your family will save hundreds of dollars. Thousands already have. Over $2 million worth of inventory on the block. Combi, Sunice, Descent, Columbia, Burton, Couloir, Wagner, Kolchak, Phoenix. Ottawa's best deals on prestige ski wear, 30 to 60% off. Exclusive warehouse super buys just for you at Tommy and LaFave's warehouse, 2615 Lancaster Road. Don't miss it.
On the heels of its glittery Toronto cousin, Ottawa has held its own ceremonies to celebrate Caribbean culture. It began this past weekend, Fete Caribe, a week-long festival, and it's a kind of a version of Toronto's Carabana. It may be smaller, but it's just as flashy, just as every bit as fun. You don't need a lot of rum punch to get the spirits going either. There's enough calypso and soak in the air to shake even the stiffest limb loose. It's a party with a modest budget of $400,000, and it's also got an organizer like the woman right between. This is Cheryl Antoine. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, how are you?
Are you excited about it all?
Very much so. We're very well excited about it, and finally to realize that it has started to happen, because we were in the planning of it for several months, actually since 1986 with the initial thought of having Carnival in Ottawa. But as everything else, nothing happens before it's time, and it's only now that we found that it was time, and we put it into place, and here we are.
Now, you actually had the Kids Festival. We had some video just a couple of seconds ago on the air of the Kids celebration yesterday, but the official kickoff will be here in just a couple of minutes.
Yes, the Children's Carnival started off yesterday, because traditionally we do that on the Sunday before, and even though it might not have been as magnificent as the parent carnivals, we know that this is Ottawa. This is the first time. I think a lot of people enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it, and they can be guaranteed that next year it's going to be grander, it's going to be more elaborate, but we have to start from some point. And here we are today, right in front of our office on the mall, and we are going to have the official opening with Her Worship the Mayor in a few moments. And for the week of events, we're going to be having tomorrow a youth fest at 111 Lisgar. That's the regional headquarters.
Regional headquarters, just downtown Ottawa, a couple of blocks from where we are.
That's right. So that's going to be on tomorrow, and that's a free admission. It's going to be in the Commons area. And there we're going to have the youth. What we're trying to do actually is unite the youth with the police on a friendly face. So they're co-sponsors for that event. And it's a free admission, but it's going to be a contest, a hip-hop contest. That too is not traditionally carnival or Caribbean in flavor, but that's one of the venues, or the avenues rather, that we can get the youth to participate in our events.
Well, it's interesting too, because what you're doing then is you're taking a culture of carnival, of cultures rather, and you're expanding it to meet your own particular needs here in the capital as it specifically relates to our situation here.
Yeah, we have to address it to me that because carnival in its true sense, it's going to take a while to take hold and for people to grasp all the essences of the carnival. However, you have the main ingredients and we're going to modify it in terms of the Canadian palate. Same as we do with cooking hot spicy food. We do modify it to the Canadian palate. But by the same token, during the week after Tuesday, Wednesday, there's going to be the cultural show at the Radisson Hotel because they are our official Fete Caribe hotel. So we're having the cultural show there, and that's a $10 admission. And on Thursday, on Wednesday, I should stick on Wednesday a little bit, we have the Tommy Critchlow and the Pan Masters. He's going to be the guest artist for that event. Then on Thursday, we have the local Calypso competition. We're looking to see who would be the other Mighty Sparrow coming out.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun, but there are so many events. What we've decided to do is just so for everyone at home, we're going to put a telephone number up on the screen right now, Cheryl. Anybody wants information about Fete Caribe, the number's on the screen. That number they can call and find out what night they might want to go to all of them. It's going to be a fun week, but thanks very much, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. And quickly before I go, it's not a $400,000 budget, please. It's
I said 40,000. Sorry, 40,000. Yeah, okay. 400,000. You and I we could buy the country for that.
Almost.
Yeah. Cheryl, thanks so much. Best of luck with your first Fete Caribe, and I hope it's the start of something great.
You're very welcome, and thanks to all at CJOH, and hi to Bob Wilson and the rest. Thank you.
Okay, it's Karen. It's happening down here in the mall. We've got Two Square playing in the background. A little bit of soca for you right now.
It is hard to walk by your local bookstore without seeing the titles that have captivated women for decades now. The titles of romance novels like Harlequin and the other publishing companies that have made a business of unfulfilled lust and love unrelenting. Women have shed many tears over these books. Now the publishers want men to start turning their pages.
A shelf filled with the latest selling romance novels reads like, well, a romance novel. Example, that outlaw attitude of her husband made him too dangerous to dream about. Yet the dream of making it in the competitive world of romance books is what drew 2,500 aspiring writers to the Romance Writers of America convention in New York to learn about plot development in a genre that is ever evolving.
Our books have really changed. We have a level of intrigue, suspense, paranormal. I mean, the heroine can fall in love with a ghost, for instance.
Whatever the premise, it seems to be working. In 1992, sales of romance novels surpassed $500 million and made up nearly 50% of all mass-market paperbacks. It's a market that's expected to grow even bigger with a new strategy focusing on specific ethnic groups.
Novels featuring black characters are making their debut in bookstores. Called the Multicultural Line, book covers showing black, Latin, and Asian couples in a loving embrace are expected to draw new readers.
They'll read them, they'll be part of the romance buying market after that because they feel included.
Also included, moves to limit the traditional clench pose, with some publishers spending $3,000 to $10,000 on a cover to get the just right tug on buyers' emotions. Yet what the industry might never be able to change, the books are still read almost exclusively by women.
There's always a small turnover that goes both ways, but the majority are women.
Women that are loyal to the time-tested premise of the romance novel.
Perhaps no matter how liberated, people wish to become, the same, desire is there just, for the wonderful emotions that come when Prince Charming comes along. And it doesn't matter if it's on a white horse or if he has a great job or doesn't have a great job.
True romance. Mabel Zhang for NBC News.
Darlene Sanchez is past president of the Ottawa Romance Writers Association. I'm always fascinated by the amount of appeal there is for those books. Why aren't more men reading?
Why aren't more men reading? Yeah. Well, because men have their own various genres of reading and writing. They tend to be more into science fiction, more into historical battles, more into the He-Man stuff. Mm-hmm. They tend to think that romances are for women. They're mushy, they're gooey, they're that kind of stuff.
Isn't that true, though?
For the most part, yes, it's true. But I mean, if you've picked up a romance lately, you'll see that there tends to be a little bit more realism in romances these days, So it's not really fair to judge it. Judge a book by its cover. Pick it up and read it. Don't judge it. So.
What's the formula?
There is a classic formula to romance writing. You know, it's the classic idea of boy meets girl, they have a problem, they solve the problem, they live happily ever after.
I have a friend who was writing them, and he said that it's the key to writing a romance novel is to take the heroine, the female, and put her in a tree and throw rocks at her. Does that make sense to you?
Now I understand why he's not published. That
well, he
makes
isn't.
no sense. I mean, you have to take a modern woman, especially if you're writing a modern romance, a female of the 90s, and give her a brain and make her independent and have a personality, and then give her a problem that any real person would face every day and expect her to fix it, just like anybody else would fix it. And if you're a man, sometimes it's hard to put yourself in that perspective and understand, and that's why there are not as many male writers as there are female writers. They tend not to be as empathetic, as sympathetic to the cause. So.
A lot of women out there, I think, with a lot of talent who could be and are not writing these books?
Yes, unfortunately, that's the problem. Unless you get yourself involved in a writer's group, you're going to find yourself very much alone. So one thing I encourage people who are aspiring writers is to get a hold of a local writers association. And in Ottawa, there's the Ottawa Independent Writers, there's the Ottawa Romance Writers Association. These people will give you advice, set up workshops, you know, figure out how to write these romances, where to go, give you guidelines, and just give you all the information that you need to actually be a professional writer.
Is it tough to break in?
Very tough. Currently, for every 1,000 manuscripts that, let's say, somebody like Harlequin gets, only 1% of those manuscripts will get published on a yearly basis. And what you're reading today was actually accepted for publication a year ago. So you have to make sure that you're up to date on everything that's going on, you know, so that you don't write the same book that was accepted a year ago and go, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So you have to keep up to date.
How many people in this region who have been successful and are published?
Actually, there's quite a lot of them that write romances, per se. The Ottawa Romance Writers Association, there's at least 5 or 6 of them that have been published. Jo Beverly is one of the more notorious writers in the area. She's published several Regency romances, and she loves doing it. She also writes futuristic romances and the different types of romance genres. So.
Only a few seconds left. A lot of money?
Not at first. You do it for the love of it more than anything else, but after a while you can, you know, live quite comfortably off of it.
Such as romance.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thank you.
Ron?
Well, I'll tell you what, Glenn, it's starting to get hot down here in the Spark Street Mall. Ahsoka Explosions on the 2 Squares on performing right now, getting the crowd warmed up for the official opening ceremonies. I'll get out of the way and let Randy show you some of the action here as everybody gets into it. This kickoff to Fete Caribe on the Spark Street Mall, Ottawa's first ever Caribbean festival.
Excuse me, ever worry about your teeth between brushings?
Of course not. Are you...
Here's how to order. To order your Wonder Mop, credit customers call 1-800-667-8715. That's 1-800-667-8715. Or send just $19.95 plus $5 shipping and handling to Wonder Mop, 410 Passmore Avenue, Scarborough, Ontario. Call now.
The rhythms of soca and calypso are really going to be at the heart of Fete Caribe, this wonderful Caribbean festival, which we're about to kick off here in just a couple of minutes. How receptive audio audiences will be, well, that's hard to gauge. I'll tell you, the reception we're getting right down now at Spark Street Mall tells me that I think Ottawa is ready for its own Caribbean festival. This man beside me, Wally Rain, has been hard at work making this thing happen. Wally, I guess you must be excited that this moment's arrived.
It's beautiful. We're having a good time down here. It's great, you know. It's the first time in Ottawa, and I'm sure all Ottawans are proud about it. Carnival in Ottawa is something that we have never seen before, and we're looking forward for a great week.
You know what I can't get over is how quickly everybody's getting into it. There's a lot of people just sort of watching the music, catching up. You get caught up in it a while.
This music is contagious. You can't miss it. It's
is this soca?
It's soca. This is soca right now playing, yeah, by the 2 Squared Band.
And what's the background of soca? What kind
soca music is the music that originated from Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a music with a lot of dynamics, lots of rhythms. It's some music to keep you off your feet. And it's a bit slower than the calypso, and just faster than the reggae. So it's just in between, and you can't keep stopping your feet.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Music.
I mean, if you don't mind just doing the rest of my show, I think I'll just sort of dance for a little bit here.
I just feel like dancing all day.
Now you've got musicians coming in, people like the Mighty Sparrow going to be coming in visiting.
Right.
So obviously you put a lot of work into making sure that you've got all the right ingredients. Yeah. But how difficult is this to pull off?
I'll tell you, this committee has worked so hard. This, we started last January, and at one point in time we wonder if it's going to happen, because so much work before us, but I'll tell you, we stick together. The community was there with us, and now there's a carnival. You know, we're just hoping to good weather for the biggest parade you're going to find in Ottawa, the street parade on August the 13th, starting from the Ottawa River Parkway onto Wellington, in front of the Parliament buildings, into Major Hills Park. It's going to be one fantastic evening.
Well, why don't you and I get out of the way here? Randy can just go in between us, and he can get some, because there's some wonderful happening here. I think more and more people, too, are going to realize, Wally, as the week progresses, that there's a lot more to the Caribbean culture than probably a lot of us in Ottawa ever knew.
It's excellent. We have the Caribbean food, we have the Caribbean dancers, and don't forget the Caribbean music. You know, it's so contagious. I think everybody's getting so excited now, you know. Ottawa, the Spark Street Mall here is just filled with people, you know.
Well, I said to J.J. Clark that he delivered good weather. He said, this isn't Caribbean weather. He said, but it's the best Ottawa can do.
I hope we get it. Yes, yes, yes.
Now, the dancing that's going on right now, is that, again, part of the soca experience?
Yes, this dancing, what it does, it's part of one of the mass bands that will be performing all week. And we are showing now the people the type of costume, the type of dancing, the theme that they will be portraying. So it's a combination of things going on there right now.
And does it tell a story, Wally? Or
it does tell a story. Some mass bands, somewhere might be called Somewhere in the Caribbean, Beach Party, or something, or Tropical Flowers of St. Lucia, these type of things.
And how important is it for you, for the Caribbean community, to be able to reach out and bring in the greater Ottawa community so they have a better understanding?
Well, I tell you, this year was not that hard more than 5 years ago, because, you know, so many people now from Ottawa travel to the Caribbean, and that makes our job easy. But it was still a hard task. But we stuck there and we pulled the people, and now Fete Caribe is the talk of the city.
And are you trying to break down some barriers here too, Wally, to build some bridges between one community and another?
Right. We want to expose the Caribbean culture to the broader community and to have people to come and share with us. We want to show them how we in the Caribbean can demonstrate our dancing peacefully, you know, and just invite them to come and take part.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to dance the day away. It's been great so far. I know you guys have worked very hard. We wish you the very best of luck, as I said to Cheryl Antoine earlier, and I hope it goes wonderfully well for you.
I would just like to say something about the street, the King and Queen of the Band taking place on August 12th. This is August the 12th at the Civic Center. We're going to have the Blue Ventures Band, and also on the Saturday 13th, we're going to have Sound Revolution, Blue Ventures. It's going to be a big dance at the Civic Center on the night of the 13th.
Well, we've got a phone number we can put up on the screen, Wally, so we can get people to call this number.
Yes.
Fete Caribe offices, and you'll get all the information you need about this wonderful festival, which is officially kicking off here in just a couple of minutes. Wally, thanks so much, and best of luck.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your support.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's Glenn Carter.
And while Ron is dancing the day away, we're going to tell you about some other things that are going on in the capital region this week. Recovering addicts and local police will battle it out on the baseball diamond this Saturday. Harvest House Residential Treatment Center. It's hosting the Recovery Cup softball tournament at Centennial Park in Manotick. It's at 8:30 in the morning. Come out and see the Gloucester, Nepean, Manotick, and Darcy and P teams compete all day. Find your way to Rupert, Quebec for 12 hours of music in the green this coming Saturday. Terry Tufts, Ian Johnson, the Hollyhawks will be performing in Rupert. It's 4 kilometers west of Wakefield. Admission is just $10, and the kids 16 and under, they will get in free. And over 85 boats from the turn of the century to the 1960s will compete in the Manotick Classic Boat Club races this weekend in Westport. The show takes place from Friday to Sunday on the Upper Rideau Lake. Events get underway this Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock.
The gigantic Honda disposal is on at Hunt Club Honda. 54 Honda Civics, 61 Honda Accords will be sold. The Honda buyer's dream is a reality. The gigantic Honda disposal now. One location, Hunt Club Honda.
For The Simpsons tonight at 7:30.